Hello there, my name is Tenarium, and welcome to Tenarium and Tryinmorning Talk the Ends. This is episode 8. See, for once we haven't forgotten, and for once we don't have to do a second take of that. That happens far more often than you'd believe. This is our first live podcast, as in we're broadcasting this on Twitch. We thought it would be a novel idea, and if the next one is live, well, it turns out it was a success. Clearly. I've spoken for too long. Patrick, say something.
Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Tryinmorning, and like Chris mentioned, this is going to be live, so hello everyone out there in the chat, even though there's probably not too many of you right now. I see some people are gathering in, so that's cool.
Yeah, there's about 15 of you at the moment. I'd hazard a guess at, because Twitch says there's 12, so just add 25% on that, make yourself look a little bit better.
Yeah, and to get people coming out to these streams, we are going to have an awkward Q&A session at the end, so you have that to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you'll know whether that's successful, because if you're watching this on YouTube and you can't see a live Q&A section at the end, it means we've got it.
Exactly.
And, oh good, Chief is asking questions prematurely. So, see, he knows. He knows he shouldn't be asking until afterwards. He is deliberately rebelling. But anyway, so shall we get on? So, before we babble on about news, this is the bit where we have to artificially endear ourselves to the viewers. So, Patrick, what have you been up to recently?
Not much. I just had a little bit of a stream going last night where I played one of the games we're going to be covering today, and, yeah. Fun was had by all, but I think mostly at the expense of the game itself. So, as we'll see in this episode.
Yeah, I was going to say, the game he mentions is, of course, one we're covering in this, and oh boy, this is... Look, we have a thing going at the minute. Bad games always somehow make it onto my episode, and then good ones always make it onto Tryinmornings. So people sort of, you know, the developers will see the ones on your channel, Patrick, and be like, wow, these guys are so good. And then they'll go to my one and be like, oh, this is what they're normally like, is it? Anyway, poison boiling over. So... yeah, and what have I been doing? I've just come back from having a manly water, because I'm still on this fucking diet, with a friend, and that was fun. I was actually 10 minutes late for when this call was supposed to start, because he dragged me, like, 5 minutes out of my way, so he could show his dad how much weight I'd lost. I've known his dad for, like, 10 years. We're homies at this point. Him and his dad. I once threw up in this guy's bathtub, and he was cool about it, so we be homies. Is there anything else we can say in order to artificially, you know, endear ourselves to the viewers?
I don't think so, other than that. I mean, what else can endear you to the viewers other than telling stories about throwing up in people's faces or laps or whatever?
Yeah, we've all been there. So what I'm trying to do there is, you know, be relevant. You can relate to me. That's what I'm trying to do. We'll move on to the news now.
I believe you call it Down with the Kids.
Down with the kids. Down with Thatcher and so on. That's something I heard the kids say. So that's the thing. So, news. First of all, bit of sad news. I mean, it's not even anything to do with visual novels, but we just thought we'd mention it anyway. Pass on commiserations. The Nintendo CEO has died. It would probably be helpful if I wrote down his name.
Satoru Iwata.
I'm glad one of us is professional.
I just looked it up on Wikipedia real quick.
Don't tell them that! That makes it so much worse!
Well, to be fair, I knew his last name. I didn't know his first name.
Yeah, I didn't know his first name. I knew his last name. But yeah, commiserations to him. God knows how Nintendo will still go on. Apparently he had, like, first hand in a lot of things. Unfortunately, I don't really play Nintendo. I've only ever had, like, one of, you know, the things that everyone had if you're a 90s kid like me. Born in 93, so that counts. And so, like, you know, Game Boy Color and so on. And then I had a DS for a bit. I mean, you have, you actually have a Wii, don't you?
I have a Wii, yes. I even have a Wii U, which hardly gets used like most Wii U's these days. Yeah, but
this is supposed to be a commiseration message. Don't just say, oh yeah, fucking, we don't really use things anyway.
Well, I mean, it's our podcast after all, so people know what to expect. But yeah, I used Nintendo products since, like, I was a child, when I was 4 or whatever. I got, like, a regular Nintendo. And, yeah, I've had, like, all their systems ever since they've come out. Except for crap like the Virtual Boy.
Well, yeah, basically, he touched the lives of many, and we're very sad for his loss. Yeah. Good? Okay, sweet. Right. So, news. Actual visual novel news now. The game we covered last week, Human Reignition Project, that is due to be released in 2 years. 2 years. Now, I was having a chat with someone, and we sort of came to the conclusion that 2 years is a perfectly acceptable time to make a game in. It's not when you have that many assets done.
Mm-hmm.
2 years, you have like everything done. You seem to have the core down already. Like, and let's face it, this game doesn't have gameplay. Right, you're not going to sit there testing how the player is going to jump and how he's going to walk and if that feels right, and bug testing, because it's in Ren'Py anyway. It's a very simple engine. All bugs are very minimal. Like, there really shouldn't be any bugs, to be fair. So I don't quite get how it took 2 years. Scratch his head.
Yeah, it seems rather odd to me as well, especially because or at least I played that through all the way, and it seemed like they had an idea of where they were going, so yeah, I don't know. Apparently they're also making a translation to Japanese now, so I guess that's adding to their workload, but yeah, you think they just get the first version out first.
Yeah, it's thing. Oh, well, it's just odd. Although, props to them, they started responding to people on 4chan, did the devs of Human Reignition Project.
Very brave people.
Very brave people. I've never done that myself. I've sort of always stayed away, only mentioning it on Twitter. Well done. I don't know how you coped with it. There are some pleasant people on there. It's just the odd people you have to be careful of. So well done for them for doing that. We know it's them because I asked. So, Jesus. Next piece of news. Dischan Media is closing. And probably now is actually closed. Is actually deaded. Now, for those people that don't know who Dischan Media are, Dischan Media did Juniper's Knot. They tried to do Cradle Song, but I don't think that ever got released, which was, I'll be honest, probably, you know, one of the reasons why they're closing down. They were very slow on these things. They also did Dysfunctional Systems, then raised money, and then didn't deliver anything because the quality wasn't up to the standards that they wanted. And it's a shame because I played Juniper's Knot and that wasn't bad. Like, that genuinely wasn't bad. But Dysfunctional Systems, I played that on the channel. I got like 3 parts in and got a bit bored. Apparently it gets a bit better. I mean, how much of Dischan's Media games did you play, Patrick?
I know absolutely nothing about them. I haven't played them myself, but I have seen that a lot of people are excited about their games and we're looking forward to them, so yeah, it's disappointing that they'll never actually get to see whatever it was they were going to produce. Yeah,
it's a shame. Answers like that, though, are the reason why I cover news, for those wondering. But yeah, it's a shame, because one day they will be remembered for the visual novels they did. I mean, it's essentially just 1.5. I did think it was still kind of scummy. Like, now they're taking the games off, it's fine. But after they originally cancelled Dysfunctional Systems, they still sold it, even though it was never clearly going to get made. And then they did Kickstarter, and then they cancelled it again, and still held it up for sale. I mean, I kind of think you're just, at that point, selling an unreleased game, which isn't great. But other than that, yeah, one day they'll only be remembered for the visual novels. There were some very talented people working for them, so hopefully they'll find employment. I'm sure Doomfest won't have any problems finding more work, because apparently everyone loves his art. Absolutely head over heels in love with it, but I don't know. Next news part, more of a congratulations. Vian's now. He has reached 4 years of doing this. Visual novels. How long have you been doing visual novels, Patrick?
You mean playing them or going over them?
Like playing them on YouTube.
Playing on YouTube. I probably started early 2014, was it? Maybe even 13. Actually, I don't remember.
it was probably early 2013 at least, you'd imagine, because, you and I have known each other for a while, and we know each other because you were doing visual novels. If it was 2014, that'd be odd.
I think it was 13 now.
Yeah, so 2013, so 2.5. I've been doing for about 3 and a bit. But yeah, he's reached 4 years, which outdates us. So that's scary. We'll probably have him on, not next show, but the one after that, and we can all celebrate him reaching 4 years. He has his critics, but I say critic, it's mainly
That's a generous word for him.
Yeah, it's 4chan. I'll be honest, it's 4chan. But I think a lot of the stuff he says, you should definitely go check him out, vnsnow.com, after this. But he is, I'd say, very fair in his critique. He's straight talking generally as well, which is something you don't get quite a lot. So yeah, basically, congratulations to him for reaching 4 years. Now, next bit of news. This is an odd one. I woke up to this. Tenarium from Lupisoft. They are the people, they did Toko. They have done the demo for the Menagerie, Dizzy Hearts, and another game I don't recall. I can't remember what the other one is. There is another one though. God knows. But basically they make footer games, apparently with a little bit of lolly in them as well. But it's generally sex games with a sort of vague story in them, although Toko had more of a story. I woke up to a thing today which said he is quitting the EVN community. Now, I believe you linked me this, didn't you, Patrick?
Yeah, I noticed it on Twitter, and I decided you would definitely like to read that, so I sent it your way.
Yeah, it was bizarre, quite frankly. It's a very odd thing to do. Now, hang on. I should have really have had the link up beforehand, but this podcast isn't very professional, and we can get along by doing that, so it's fine, right?
It's totally fine.
Yeah, exactly. He says that they just want to make things for their fans now and just move away completely from the EVN community. Now, the first question I always ask, I ask myself, and this is one I've asked before, what even is the EVN community?
It's a very good question.
What are you defining that as? Because I've got my group of friends that I know through visual novels, so I know yourself, I know, Chief, JP, like Yoko, and so on. I know those people. I wouldn't call that a community, I'd just call it a group of friends. I think that's all that really is when push comes down to shove, but also, I mean, how weird does he get? Because, hang on. There is one specific quote in here which I couldn't really help but frown at.
The part where he talks about facing... I don't know if it was discrimination he said, but he said something about facing troubles because of developing queer games and that kind of thing.
Yeah, which is very bizarre. Like, very, very bizarre. When... It's Lemmersoft. Like, they're into that shit. Like, we were sort of mocking a thread which was on there. I think privately. I don't think we mentioned it aloud. But it was called, like, non-binary. And it was on Lemmersoft, and it went completely out of hand. And Tom sort of stepped in and went, please stop talking about that. It's my forums. But that was all about non-binary characters, and I don't remember anyone ever saying, yeah, they should just not be in it because it's gay, and that's horrible. Like, that doesn't happen. I kind of thought that Lemmersoft was... But I know they are. They're really welcoming to those kind of people. I don't know who, in the visual novel community anyway, is actively against gay. I mean, even JP isn't, despite the rep he's got on 4chan. He's fine with everything. I mean, JP's a person I've sat down with and just mocked his religion, but we're just having a laugh. Like, it's bizarre. But yeah, it does seem like an attack on several different people. It's like, oh, well, you've shunned us, so now we're no longer going to be part of the EVN community. The first thing I thought when I saw it was, is he just doing this for like attention because he's got a game about to come out? And then I sort of sat down and went, but he's announced all games. He's not releasing anything soon. He's got too much he's working on. So, yeah, just bizarre. But yeah, but apparently Lupisoft are moving away from the EVN community because they feel shunned.
Yeah, it's really vague, and I can't understand half of it. It makes no specific claims whatsoever. It just says that basically they feel that everything was against them in the EVN community, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. I couldn't care whether a game is... we like coming out on top, for fuck's sake. Right? That is a very homosexual game. That has very graphic depictions of sex between men. And we like that game because it was good. There wasn't... I didn't like most of Lupisoft games just because I didn't think they were any good. Like, fetishes aside, and the whole lolly and futa thing aside, I didn't really think their games were doing much. Like, especially like Toko Episode 1, where like the logic characters using that was bizarre. Like, I think I use the word bizarre again, sorry, but like it was just a bit all over the place. And yeah, I don't know. He might have just taken a dislike to to things that people have said. I mean, you got to remember this is a person who said that JP wanted to watch them burn because he'd given a few of their games low scores. So, yeah, shrugs. But worth mentioning, it was definitely drama. But as per normal, we wish Lupisoft all best in the future, even if they do decide to alienate a big part of whatever a community is anyway, right?
Yeah, certainly wish them the best in their endeavors, and hopefully everything works out, even if they're going to do it alone without the so-called EVN community.
Yeah, which, as I said, I don't think exists anyway. It's just, like, you get a load of people being loud on forums, a load of people being loud on Twitter, and then you have groups of friends. Shrugs, whatever. Also, something I found out today, moving on to the next piece of news. There's a new Sakura game coming out. When was it we did it? Like 2 months ago?
I don't think even... I mean, the game probably came out 2 months ago, but yeah, we just reviewed it not too long ago.
No, not Sakura Fantasy. When they started releasing like Sakura Dungeon as well.
Oh.
And there was
and there was
that
wasn't too long ago either.
Several months ago. I went onto their Twitter page today just because I was proving a point. Like when they initially created the Twitter, someone said, "Oh well, it's really good that they're deciding to interact with the community, and it's they're really showing their love." And I went, "No, they're not. They're just trying to keep a presence on Twitter so you won't forget about them." And I bet you within 2 months that they'd have just left. Right, they'll just stop using Twitter. And then I went onto their Twitter and I was just like, I fucking told you, they've stopped using it. There's like 5 tweets in the past 2 months, right? And they're mostly just retweets from Sekai, which they probably felt like obliged to do or had a word in their ear or something. And then I went to their Patreon page, which said, hang on, let me bring up the quote. I tweeted about it earlier. It's at ChrisTenarium for those wondering. Said, Wincloud's Patreon, Sakura Clicker. Idle clicker game with lots of ecchi monster girls. That's on their Patreon page. Right now. If you go to the Patreon page right now, it will be there. It will say, hang on. Let me just link it for those lovely people who have come up in chat.
I'm guessing it's probably a good thing they don't actually know what any of that means.
Yeah.
Ecchi monster girl game. With clicker? What?
Dread to think. Well, basically, do you know what Cookie Clicker is?
No, I do not.
You didn't play anything like that. Okay, so basically it's something where you just like click on cookies and then once you get more cookies by clicking on the cookie, you can buy certain things which creates cookies automatically.
Okay.
And it just goes on like that and that until you get like billions of cookies and so on. That's what that seems like. I randomly found this earlier. You know, I found it purely by chance. But there you are. There's another Sakura game. And it's a clicker game.
Sounds good.
Just...
Well, actually, reading this link, I really like the rewards for pledging money. If you pay $5, you get a thank you and updates about their progress.
Yeah, but then for $10, you get uncensored art.
That's where it's at, and that's where 45 people have donated to. There's only 2 for $5 or less.
Yeah. They really care about the story, don't they?
I guess you know what they're after.
There are 2 people who wanted updates about their work, and then there were 45 people who were like, no, I want to see the uncensored shit. I want to see some naked girls. Just... Jesus, yeah. 8 out of 8, mate. Best game ever, 10 out of 10, IGN. No, IGN would rate it 6 out of 5, which is like the equivalent of a 2. But, just... News I happened to stumble upon purely by chance. And, I really wish I hadn't tried to be a smart ass and be like, see, Winkler stopped using their Twitter, see it? Yeah! Ugh. So that was a prolonged news session, wasn't it?
Yeah, it works good since the game's going to be rather short, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah. They'll probably charge for it as well, unlike every clicker game in the world. They'll probably charge for it. Right. Should we move on to games that we played?
Sure, let's do.
Games, yeah, because we had no rather long news session there. First game, Made with Perfection. This came out during NaNoRenO. It's by Seraphim Entertainment. I swear we're not trying to play all of their games. It just so happens we see things about their games all random. But, yeah, and they charged $1 for it. Now, I spoke to several people at the time, and some people said, oh, well, you deserve to, be paid for your work. Perfectly fine. And then someone else I was speaking to said, well, should you really be profiting off NaNoRenO at all? But shrugs, whatever. Got over it. It's now free. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go in. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play this game, Made with Perfection. It's not very good. So it turns out, Made with Perfection, that's made as an M-A-I-D, as opposed to M-A-D-E. Right. On Twitter I got very angry about this game, because of how many times the word fucking cute is used. Like, holy shit! Is there no other way you can express your emotions other than saying, hee, they're really cute, tee-hee-hee, aren't we moey? Aren't we really... Oh! Where is the button to punch you in the face? Holy shit. So, Seraphim Entertainment, I've normally liked their writing. Like with Seduce Me, I really like their writing. I just didn't like the tone shift and the fact that it went from a sort of serious mystery game to, hey, we're all sexy demons and yeah, we feed off sex and oh, we're gonna kiss you and you're gonna be so enticed and whoa. It was such a... I'm not gonna use that word. It was such a shift in tone. But the writing was always alright. Made with Perfection fucking goes downhill so much. It's like a 16-year-old first-timer writing. It's so bad. They repeat themselves constantly, right? There are conversations which are had, which all you need to do is read them aloud just to realise how ridiculous it sounds. Like, no one speaks like that. So basically, you're a middle-class person, you don't really have much of a social life, but you win a lottery, and then suddenly you're ejected into the nobility. You're assigned a maid, who, it turns out, needs to fight to the death for you, and if she loses, you get ejected out of nobility. The beginning bit in the lottery, the word either weird and surreal, that is mentioned over 10 times. They don't bother changing it up. They don't bother coming up with a different way to express themselves. It's just weird or surreal. Over and over. By the way, there is voice acting for this game. Patrick, do you want to try and guess what the voice acting is?
Well, I don't need to guess. It's pure quality on the standards of the other games by Seraphim Entertainment. And if you know how we feel about those, then you know it's pretty shitty.
Yeah, exactly. The quality is good. It's just a shame that everyone sounds the same. Like, everyone sounds the same. Like, every girl. Oh my god, I cannot believe that you did that! And then the men, grumble, grumble, grumble. The game, the backgrounds in this game, holy shit! What the hell happened? They are so bad. Like, the thing is once you're charging $1, unfortunately you can't sort of go, oh well, it's only $1, because you're still charging money for it. So you have to judge what it was like based on the fact that they charge money for it, even if it's $1, even if it's $10. And oh my god, it's so bad. There's an arena you fight, your two maids fighting later on. And I shit you not, it looks like a bowl a cat would drink out of. It doesn't look like an arena. It looks so bad. The limo that you're driven to the your new mansion in looks awful. It looks like it's something out of Newgrounds in like 2006, right? Awful. And it's so very bad. It's hard to call art sort of awful because sometimes it's just subjective whether or not you like the art style. This is bad art. It's really bad. They also have a problem with a perspective late on in the game because when your maid is with you in the limo, it shows her as standing up. So, like, the only way you can stand up in a limo that small is if she's like 3 feet tall. And the moral of the story in the end, because you can make your maid lose the fight eventually, but I made her win. But there's a line at the end of it where they're like, oh god, you trained her really well. And you reply with, I didn't train her. She wanted to train herself. And then it was just like, oh yeah, well, you know, she needs to be happy while she trains. It's like, is this Pokemon? What the fuck? Why is this such an odd moral? It's like, I literally told her what to do. And, it was terrible. They don't respect your choices either. When you first get to the mansion... Oh, apparently someone says I was pretty good at that girl voice. Thank you very much. I disagree, though. But someone said once you're in the mansion, you get a choice as to whether to stay in the bit where they ask you to stay or whether you want to walk around. And I chose to stay. And the game went, oh, well, my mind eventually wandered. And I started to walk around. You're not respecting my choices again. And it does this like 3 times throughout. Oh, God. And there's this moment as well where the maid, early on, she something falls over and she goes to pick it up. And you're caught looking at her panties. And and then she turns around and sees you and then just stays there. And this is for like fucking like a minute or two. And then she, literally in the CG, she winks, right? And goes, do you like what you see? It's like, oh, God. And then you meet this other maid. And then it's like, oh, well, did you open your legs for him yet? And she's like, no, I don't have to sleep my way to the top. Were you not there when that happened earlier? Did you get taken over by another sentient being who went, oh, actually, we'll go and hit on our master? Oh, God. Also, the default name for your character is Master, but you can change it. I called him Dave.
Naturally. Yeah,
Dave. And you can name your maid as well. And originally, I chose Moe Fuck Nugget. But I eventually changed that. And then just got a real name, which is Carolyn. Is it Caroline?
That's Carolyn. Right.
Yeah, but with a K, because, you know, fuck spelling it with a C the normal way. Oh, it was so bad. There is not one single redeeming thing about this game. It's so short as well. I cannot think anyone paid money for this. It doesn't matter whether it's $1. Once you paid money, you've paid money. and I can't think anyone paid for this and went, that's really good. Which is a shame, because Seduce Me, I thought had potential and then just went down a route I didn't like and sort of like squandered its potential. This is an objectively bad game.
Yeah. I'd have to say the pacing of the game is just completely terrible. Like, it starts off with about 15 to 20 minutes of dialogue between you and like a few different characters. Then the game becomes, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 minutes of you just choosing random things for your maid to do to train herself and clean the house. And there's nothing else besides that for the next 5 or 10 minutes. And then there's the final stuff at the end where you have that confrontation for another 5 or 10 minutes. And that's the game.
Yeah, that is the game. I'd have been disappointed. Like, basically, you sort of have to sit down and go, would I have liked this? Or would I have just liked to buy 2 cans of Coke? Or 3 cans if you live where I do. I'd have preferred the Coke. I mean, would you have paid money for this?
No, definitely not. If I did, I would have felt sorely disappointed, especially when you compare it to something like even Seduce Me, which was free.
Yeah, exactly. Seduce Me, the quality was higher. A lot higher. It just sort of... I didn't like Seduce Me and I gave it a rough time, but games as bad as Made with Perfections puts into perspective that Seduce Me may have actually been alright.
Yeah, I was saying that in like the chat I was doing yesterday as well, that looking back on it, Seduce Me wasn't that bad in comparison to some of these other ones we've done now. Like, we were definitely harsher on that, I think, because it was probably like the first one we did. And, I mean, there was stuff about it that I definitely felt was flawed, and playing this game reminded me of some of the stuff that was flawed about Seduce Me. Like, it's a similar thing in all these games where the villains are completely over the top and ridiculous. It was in this game, it was in Seduce Me as well.
Yeah, once at the end with the maid, you get the classic line, I love you and I love you too. Or what was it? Also, I think I like you, and I can grow to love you. It's like,
yeah, something like that.
Yes, quite. As Magneta Mushroom says in the chat, I'd have preferred the Coke. ChrisTenarium 2015. I'd have preferred any kind of drug over this. So basically, what I think we're trying to say here is that, look, Michaela, if you're listening, you're not, but if you are, and you've made it this far, we're sorry for Seduce Me. Maybe I was a bit harsh on that. I was definitely disappointed by the route it took. But that game seems godlike compared to Made with Perfection, because Made Perfection is garbage. Like, there's no other way about it. It's really bad. It's, oh. I mean, generally we don't mention the art just because we're two people who like the story, so we'll only ever mention the art if it's, like, good or bad. Like, it has to be either very good or bad, otherwise we'll just sort of skip over it and say, yeah, it was alright, and then just move on to the story. This art was bad. Like, it's something I'd expect to find on Newgrounds. Oh. Just a terrible, terrible game. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, sure, I guess that's about enough said with that. So, the next game we ended up playing, and this was one we kind of decided at the last moment because we had picked something else and we ended up not going with those, so I literally did this at, I think it was like 7 in the morning or something, just to quickly get out another one that we could cover. And it's called Cafe Memoria. It's a visual novel by Pixelsoft, who,
Pixel, something like that.
Yeah, I think it might be their first game, I'm not totally sure on that. I literally just found it randomly and decided to do it. So, it's a game where, and oddly enough, it's kind of similar to Made with Perfection, where
yeah,
it's about girls, 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 and your character is a guy who goes to a random cafe, Cafe Memoria, hence the name, I guess. And your character's name is Ryan. He decides to eat there. He's a high schooler, of course, high school boy. All the waitresses are high school girls, and you order food and drinks, and you eat there, and at the end you give the girl a review. And that's the game 5 times over, because there are 5 different girls. And then each time you finish one route, you move on to the other. And, that's really, like, the main gist of it. There's nothing else beyond that.
Yeah.
There are different girls, but that's about it.
For those expecting a fulfilling story, this is not the place to come. It's really not. They had an idea and they stuck to that idea. They did not expand upon it.
Yeah, it's all set in one location. It's all about the same thing. Each time you have to order a drink and food, like you have to pick it out of the menu. It's pretty funny. And then you have to...
In case you don't know what simple meals are, they tell you as well.
Mm-hmm,
So if you've never heard of lemonade, they tell you what lemonade is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then at the end of the meal, you have to grade them on a rubric. Like, oh, how's their service? 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And that's all you have to do is just rate everything 10 out of 10, and then write a little comment at the end, and the girl will fall in love with you. Because that's how love works.
That is how love works. It's... for those who don't know what a rubric is, you get a little form, and then you fill it in, and then it's like, did you like the waiter who served you? And you can put yes, and did she do anything exceptional? Yes. Sakura Cafe. Oh god, that was
pretty
so
much, yeah.
Worse. Don't ask where the milk in your tea came from in that game. It's not worth knowing. Not worth knowing. But yeah, and in this game, I did it, and you can put a little comment at the end. You've got 140 characters to type out. So I put 10 in everything, and then at the end, I put JK shit. And the game still recognised me as being really complimentary, and that I was amazing.
Yeah, I just put a bunch of random nonsense and it works. I think you just need to have some kind of text, and I don't think they're actually checking anything. But the different kind of girls you get are very stereotypical in these games, just like any of the others. The first girl you get is the shy girl who is really nervous and she stutters while taking your order. And once you finish your meal with her and you rate her highly, she becomes a bit more confident in herself, of course, and then she thanks you. The second girl you meet is like kind of a bitch who tells you, oh, hurry up and make your order. I have the exact quote somewhere because I actually wrote this down to you because it was so ridiculous. Oh yeah, at one point she says, alright, I'll be back with your order. You better not pull off some bullshit like leaving. And I'm like, yeah. That's heard at every diner ever.
Mate, if you leave, I will cut you blood. Oh. And then the third one?
Well, the third girl's kind of the same as the second one because she's also a bitch. But this one's a bit different because she's bitchy because she hates all men.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's
the second one was just angry about life in general. The third one hates men.
Yeah, there's a point where a guy comes in and she says something like, ugh, another disgusting male. Gosh, I bet he's up to no good. I'm like, wow. That's pretty random. And another time a couple comes in and she's disgusted because it's a couple. I'm like, I don't think you have to worry about him being rude or anything. He's got a girlfriend. He's not going to misbehave or anything if that's what you're assuming.
Yeah, this is so... It was bizarre. Basically, Patrick was telling me about this this morning, and I was sort of like having a giggle about it. So I was like, no, I have to play this as well. No matter what you do and put in the writing, it will never like change. It just takes you writing as something positive. So I then just decided to dick around a bit. So I put in the writing stuff like, I enjoyed the fisting would come again. And yeah, it's still recognised that as positive. Also, the difference between saying someone's really good and someone's really bad is like close to nothing. And holy shit, what the fuck is the guy doing? Your main character, the guys you're playing as, he has this one pose he always does. He never changes out of it, and it's like his head is slightly tilted and he's smiling. He looks like the most condescending motherfucker ever.
Yeah, he's the most chill as fuck protagonist I've ever heard in a game. His voice actor sounds absolutely bored to tears during the performance. It's hilarious.
Yeah, the voice acting in this game, I turned it on. It was fantastically shit. There was, all of the anime girl voices you can imagine. All those cutesy, just bollocks that you want to smash your own ears in with a baseball bat after hearing, right? Oh, just so annoying. And the game's so bad. But yeah, you have this like condescending look, and if you give someone a really shit review, like the first girl, I gave her all 10s, right, first of all, and she was like, oh my god, I did that good a job, I'm so happy. And then if you give her all 1s, she just starts crying. But the crying, right, she stops after like 5 lines, right? And then, regardless of what you say, she'll meet you once you're at the door, smile, and go, well, I hope you come again. It changes 5 lines. You can be happy, or and like be really nice to someone. You can be sort of like middle of the road, or you can be just an absolute twat to someone. And oh god, and honestly, you say all this stuff, like all this horrible stuff. It's just like, oh well, you were really nervous, and to be honest, you were really shit at your job. All with this smiling, leaning slightly to the head, condescending way. And yeah, the game is fully voice acted.
It's fully voice acted. I was surprised. Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about the other characters?
The other characters? Well, sure. I guess I have to mention the fourth one at least, because the fourth one is the girl with big tits, of course. And she's the one that all the guys have come to the cafe to see. And of all the guys in the cafe, I mean, just guess right now which one she's attracted towards and flirts with constantly throughout the game. Just guess. Well, it's the same as the other four girls. Yes, it's the protagonist, of course. Shocker, I know. So at one point, she randomly, like, smothers you between her breasts while taking your order, I think. And
she is working hard for that tip.
Yeah, she's working really hard for it. And yeah, once again, if you give her a good review, you know, you get smothered once again between her breasts, and she follows you outside, pursuing you, asking if she can be your girlfriend, and your character, because he's cool as fuck, just turns her down like, no, I'm not looking for girls right now.
But I'm sure that one day you will go on and make someone very happy. And he's saying that all while being condescending.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's the fourth girl. I kept on hoping that there was going to be some kind of plot twist in this game. I'm like, I really hope this guy's actually like a serial killer or something. Because he has like no emotion. He's like completely empty. And there's like at one point when someone says to him, oh, you're such a sweet guy. And he's like, I'm not really a sweet guy, but thanks for saying so. I'm like, please tell me he's going to be a serial killer at the end, and no, he wasn't.
That would be amazing. The strawberries in the cereal aren't actually strawberries. They're just like blood clots.
Yeah.
And he's not actually using a knife and fork. The spoon he keeps bringing to eat his cereal with is just made from human flesh. I want all of this to happen now. And you could fit it perfectly into the story as well, because it fits perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the last girl isn't even worth mentioning, because she's just a cute girl with glasses who flirts with you, and your guy's actually attracted to her this time around. So at the end, you go out together. And that's the end. After just saying he wasn't pursuing girls the other day.
Yeah, it is... It's really not very good.
No. It's good for a few laughs, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's good for a few laughs, but the voice acting isn't very good. There is no story to be had. I mean, if you're not going to have a plot, this is definitely the way to do it.
Yeah.
We're going to get onto a game later on which doesn't do it right. But you know what I mean? Like, the ride at least has to be, like, enjoyable along the way.
Yeah. This is probably the most entertaining of the bunch we played.
Yeah, it was definitely the most entertaining. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean it's good.
Doesn't say a lot at all, no.
Yeah, but it was definitely worth a giggle, I guess. So, would you like to move on to our next game? Which I got 10 minutes in, and just a lack of anything made me not want to play this game. You get to move around later on, but you sort of don't, because it doesn't tell you where to go. You can just go to random places. Someone in the chat just asked for a shout out. I'd love to give you a shout out, anonymous person, but that means everyone would want one. So no, you can't. Get away. But yeah, would you like to tell us about your experiences with Summoner's Sweetheart, Patrick? That game you streamed last night on youtube.com/Tryinmorning, because he streamed on YouTube because he is that out of touch with technology and doesn't realize that no one does that.
Oh, thank you very much for the shout out and compliments, Chris.
You are welcome.
Yeah, so I decided to stream Summoner's Sweetheart because this is one of the games we had planned out playing. Apparently, and I didn't even know this because I wasn't paying attention to this game, it was originally scheduled to come out during NaNoWriMo this year, but it got delayed until, I suppose sometime in June when it officially came out. And
yeah,
this game
they decided that they could properly focus on it.
Yeah, it's a first-time effort by some group that's calling themselves Big Step Studio. For whatever reason, they decided to make a kind of fanfic game related to League of Legends, which I know absolutely nothing about.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
it's
have not played League of Legends. The closest we've got to playing a MOBA is you've played Heroes of the Storm a few times.
Yep.
And I've played it quite a lot. But that is the closest we've ever got to MOBAs.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I was going to be completely lost during this game, and I pretty much was. I'm not sure what anything really had to do with League of Legends, unless some of these characters were based on ones in the game itself, in which case, it really wasn't necessary, but oh well. The game starts off with you in this club at school, and it's really stupid because they start talking off like, oh, we're quite the unusual group. We do things that people wouldn't expect of us, like, we play League of Legends. It's like, that's not unusual at all.
Yeah. We play games! Wait, what?
So you have the most random group of people I think I've ever seen in what's supposed to be a realistic setting. There's like this one teacher who has like a bit of an accent. At least I think she's a teacher because she seems a bit older than everyone. And she also has her tits out for some reason, which I don't know why that was a thing, because like there wasn't much of that in the rest of the game.
She just has a revealing, perfectly fine
I'm sorry.
top.
I'm sorry, it's completely fine.
People who are open about their sexuality.
It's completely fine in a school setting, you know, when, I mean, I'm presuming they're a teacher. But yeah, it's good otherwise.
They were called Miss Something.
Mm-hmm. And one of the students looked like a cyborg. And again, I think this was supposed to be a realistic setting. This wasn't in the game world itself, so I don't know what that was about. He had like a bionic arm, and then another arm coming out of his shoulder. Yeah, I did not know how that fit into anything else.
They don't bother explaining that.
It was never mentioned again.
Basically,
no one questioned it.
I imagine a lot of the people working on this wanted to self-insert themselves as characters, and one of them wanted that, and they couldn't be bothered to write context for it.
I guess so. So you have like a really long description in the beginning about how there's this hacker who's messing with League of Legends, and he's like giving these superpowers to certain characters, and they're getting accused of cheating, and it's ruining the game and all that. And basically, there's a bounty out.
To mention the voice acting at the beginning.
Oh yeah, the voice acting begins. The game begins with a voice actor who gives a very passionate speech about how he's going to bring down League of Legends, and it's the highest quality in a visual novel ever. It's very believable. It doesn't sound silly and cartoonish at all.
Yeah, there's this there's this character in Icebound. I'm not sure if many people here have played Icebound, but it's a good game. And you play as a bloke called Dougal, and Dougal has this pet. He is an ice bat. He's this like silly little mischievous ice bat, and basically he's just a bat with fur on him, right? Mm-hmm. That's what it sounded the voice acting was trying to act. Just this silly, mischievous, furry bat, as opposed to a hacker.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. So you find out that there's a bounty out on this hacker for like 1,000,000 points or whatever the hell they're supposed to be. So your characters decide to, oh, let's go pursue him. And everyone in the club eventually agrees, and the teacher's like, well, alright, you can do it if you want, but, you know, make sure you're safe first of all. And so you decide to do that. Also, there's a very subtle reference in the beginning of the game which says, oh, I wonder if the hacker might be someone close by. It's like, oh, hint, hint.
Yeah, okay then.
Very subtle.
So he's nearby, is he?
So, unfortunately, I never got to figure out who it was, but I'll get to that later. What happens is you get a brief tutorial about how the League of Legends within this game works. And like in the beginning, I'm like, okay, let's go with this tutorial, and I'm like expecting that we're actually going to do something. But it gives you a few different ideas of what you can do, like press QWER for combat and this and that. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. And then, like right when I'm thinking like the battle's about to begin, that it's preparing me for, it just ends. And I don't know if this was actually meant to be in the game or not, but there's just text that says, alright, let's just pretend there's a proper tutorial here and move on with everything. I'm like, what? I'm like, alright, I'm assuming either they just got lazy or they didn't want to bother with the rest of the tutorial. So the game just moves on from there, and you finally leave the classroom, and you have the option of going to several different places. You get a map with your town, you see your house, you see the school, there's the library, and a few different other locations that you can go to. So you can pick out these locations and visit them, and unfortunately what I didn't realize right away is if you don't have a girl icon above one of these places, apparently nothing happens and you just waste your time, because you only have 7 days within the game itself to finish it.
I did that for 2 days. I just went to the garden and they went, oh, there's not much to do here. And that was it.
Yeah, eventually I realized, oh, if there's not a girl in this location, obviously nothing happens because, you know, obviously there's no progression in life unless you're talking to a girl. That's how life is. So eventually, if you do choose to see the girls at the places they are, like I went to the library and I talked to one girl, and like, in the intro there's probably about 6 or 7 different characters you meet. Throughout the game I played, I only saw 2. I don't know if it was just bad luck on my part, or if, you know, there's actually not a whole lot to it, because I only played this through once. So there's this one girl, and it's funny because at one point, her name's spelled A-M-I, so I'm like, oh, Ami, I'm guessing, because it's supposed to be somewhat Japanese-like, I'm guessing? I don't know. And they do say Ami at one point, but then they also call her Amy in another line, so it's inconsistent what they call her from time to time, which is always a good sign. But she's a brown-haired girl who's supposed to be extremely smart. She looks down upon you. She calls you middle class at one point and tells you not to bother speaking to her. Because, you know, she can't be bothered because her parents look down upon the regular people at the school who aren't rich and elite like her. So you try to make conversation with her to see if she'll help out. And mind you, this is the same girl in the club that you're supposedly friends with. At least that's what I thought in the beginning. But she completely just shuts you down and then tells you off. And eventually, as you're leaving, she kind of is like, oh, you know, she gives you information, but then once you start trying to be friendly with her again, she tells you off again. I'm like, okay, whatever, screw this bitch. And the other girl I ended up meeting was a girl named Sharon who has white hair, and she's just really nervous and doesn't want to do anything because she's scared of failure. Like, she's supposed to be a healer within the game itself, but then she's constantly scared of letting people down and getting them killed. So she doesn't want to participate. And I'm just like, but you're in the club. Doesn't that require you to play the game to actually be in the club? It's
Clearly
just really
not.
bizarre.
Clearly
none of them
she just
want to
got
help
in
you.
there through nepotism.
I was assuming that one of them must be behind the hacks based on the information in the beginning of the game, so maybe that's why they didn't want to help you out. But yeah, neither of them want to help you throughout the game, and I'm assuming if you do enough activities with them, they'll eventually get on your side. But again, since the game doesn't really tell you anything, and I kind of did some activities that wasted time, I had nothing happen. And basically at the end of the game, it just ended with the developers apologizing because I didn't get an ending that I wanted, and said, well, better luck next time. And that was the end.
Yeah, I knew I was in trouble when I went to their game. Hang on. I need to find the itch.io page now. But you know you're in trouble, basically, when this is it. Hang on. bigsteps.itch.io. Is this the one?
Should be.
Yes, this is. No further content will be added into the game. Okay, this line here. Now, people in chat, does this seem promising to you? When you read the line, for those who get confused during the game, we have a list of bugs. It might clear some air on why there are some inconsistencies or contradicting events. So you know there are bugs, you're just doing nothing about it. That's when you probably know you haven't got a... You're not onto a gem.
Yeah, and there were bugs galore during the playthrough that I did. At one point, I thought I spoke over some dialogue because I didn't hear anything, and then when I rewound through the REMP scrolling option, I then heard the dialogue again. But then I realized that sometimes the dialogue just plays inconsistently. Like, sometimes it'll actually play with the voice acting, but then other times it won't. And then other times it'll start playing and it'll get cut off for no reason, even if you don't click a button. So obviously there's some coding problems. I didn't know you could really mess up voice acting that badly in REMP. But
No, I thought it
I
was
guess
pretty
so.
fucking obvious. Also, sorry, just another line from the itch.io. It was a rigorous ride, but we're finally pleased to announce that we finished the game, albeit no QA testing. There will be bugs, issues, and occasional crashes. However, we're hoping you'll look past it. Oh, What? Look, in the nicest possible way, the consumer could not give a fuck about how your game is made. They just want to know whether it's worth their time/money. If your opening pitch is, it might crash quite a lot, that's not good. That's not good at all.
What's also interesting about this game, or the developers, is if you look at their Lemmasoft forum thread for it, they also have a link to what they call the post-mortem report, where they report everything that went wrong while developing the game.
I dread to think.
Yeah, I'll link it in case anyone wants to check that out, because it's rather interesting. I mean, I guess it's good that they own up to everything, but yeah, you know, at least they're not making excuses like, oh, this game's really great and all, and pretending that there's no problems with it, but still, it's pretty disappointing as an experience.
Yeah. Should we go on to our last game?
Very well.
Yeah, let's do it then. Our last game is Cuttlebone by... Oh, fuck, how the fuck do you pronounce that? Kuroni Half? That's very oddly spelled. I don't know. But... Okay. Shall I try and explain the plot to you, Patrick?
Good luck.
Okay. Alright, that's the plot done. Now we'll try and explain what happens in the game. So basically, the first 15 minutes, I shit you not, the first 50... I played this on my channel, right? The first 15 minutes of this game are you sitting around, internally monologuing, and then you need to get something from the shops. So you go in and speak to this bipolar fucking shopkeep, who 1 minute is fine and then 1 minute is angry at you. And then you buy stuff from him and then leave. That's the first 15 minutes. Nothing happens. Then, you meet up with, I think it's your girlfriend. It never quite makes it clear. But I'll just presume it's your girlfriend. And you go to the beach. And you're going there to find Cuttlebones for a dog. You eventually find it, but you sort of like rub sunscreen on each other for a bit. And then her social anxiety problems are brought up, which play absolutely no relevance in the game whatsoever. It doesn't exist, because it's only you two. Because apparently everyone else has gone to a different beach, despite this one being closer. Everyone. So it's only you two on this beach.
Yeah, that sort of makes very little sense. I think I mentioned it briefly just when I was going in the comments of your video. I said, it's like if you had a game where you really emphasize someone having arachnophobia, but then you have no spiders in the game itself. Like, what's the point then?
Yeah, exactly. What's the point of someone being shit scared of spiders if spiders never show? That's not the point. Like, and especially if you spend so long explaining that someone has arachnophobia. So, yeah, you walk up and down the beach, you have a bit of a chat, you grab Cuttlebones, then you go back, you give her a quick kiss, and the game ends. That's it. When I said earlier that it doesn't matter if a game doesn't have the plot as long as the journey is enjoyable, there is no point to this game existing. Nothing happens. But
Tenarium, you miss out on all those awesome scenes where the guy describes, you know, how his apartment building is set up, and the movie he went to see that has no bearings on anything else in the game.
Oh god, yeah, even more pointless. And your girlfriend's mum tries to hit on you at some point. She tries to get naked with you in the shower and tries to wash you. Again, no point. Like, just randomly put in there. But yeah, when a game doesn't have a plot, that's fine. I've said before, MASH the movie, very good. Doesn't have a plot, but the journey is very good. And you sort of dick around and do other things in the meantime. This game didn't have any of that. This game was just two people dicking around. Oh, and everyone has a Japanese name. It's like Inami Kaze, that's like the shopkeeper's name, and you have a Japanese name as well, because we all love Japan. Hip, hip.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this while we were, well, after I was watching your playthrough of the game. We agreed that, you know, having head narration it's of course not necessarily a bad thing. But when there's more head narration than anything else in the game itself, you might have a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, that is a problem. Like, there's a big difference between internally thinking about something and wondering how you're going to get around it, and there's a bit, and then there's a difference between that and you sitting there and just thinking about everything, even though you've absolutely no reason to do it, because in theory you should know it, because it's your brain and your mind, but you're just sitting there going, oh, well, this person is this, and this person does that. It's like, why are you having to think this? You should already know.
Exactly. I mean, the whole thing about the mother, because the mother's never seen in the game itself. It just gets referenced in his thoughts. The whole stuff with their social anxiety, because it's never actually shown in the game. It's just in his thoughts, thinking about her problems. And that's pretty much the whole game. You guys just literally go to a beach, and then go home, and that's it.
Yep. Basically, by playing this, I've saved you an hour of your life. Just nothing of note happens throughout the game. Ugh. But yeah, see, I did say at the beginning of this episode that all the bad games would be on our channel, on my channel. And then next week we'll do all good ones on Patrick's channel, bar like one, which will be really, like, bad.
We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. So this is normally the time where we thank everyone for listening. Thank you for getting to this part. But we're live, so we're doing that Q&A thing, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, peeps in chat, ask us some questions and we'll answer them to the best of our ability. Myfo and Chief are both in chat, so I think we're going to get some pretty silly questions. See, we have to fill the air for another 15 or so seconds before the questions start filtering through in real time.
I have the delay and all. Very fun.
Yeah, because there's a natural stream delay, as I mentioned earlier. But, yeah, Q&A. Oh, good. You remember when I was saying Myfo and Chief were probably going to try and just fuck this? Yeah. Yay, Q or A by Myfo, and Chief says, mwahahaha, time for evil. I think this
sounds really promising.
Yeah. This is the way this is going to go, isn't it? See? Well, every time I used to stream beforehand, before I just couldn't be asked because it was a Sunday evening, I just wanted to chill, I traditionally just did a Q&A. And sort of answered, you know, normal things. Oh, wait, it's almost over. Well, that's a good enough question, isn't it? It is almost over, depending on the questions we get. All we're doing now is just waiting for questions to come in. I have no legitimate questions, so why not Zoidberg? Who's Zoidberg? Is that the Futurama guy?
Yeah, Zoidberg is the guy in Futurama who has that funny face, and he's, like, pink or something.
Oh, right, well, yeah. I'm racist and don't like lobster men. So, that's why I know Zoidberg. Chris, this question is for you. When are we ever going to play again? We played the other day. Next question. Would you ever consider guides or tips for visual novel developers? No. I'll answer this by myself, and you can answer afterwards, I guess, Patrick. But basically, I'd consider myself not nearly knowledgeable enough. I merely play games and critique them. I couldn't sit there and write a guide as to do's and don'ts. What I just tell everyone is write what you enjoy, write what you like, or write what you think is good. And if it is good, well, it will be good.
Yeah, I'd pretty much agree. I mean, I just mostly just say how I feel about different things. I don't consider myself an expert on any of this. I mean, there are some things which I will agree with that. No arachnophobia if no spiders is probably a good rule. There's a few other basic writing rules, but I'm probably not the best one to give them out. You could probably just, you know, read some basic writing guides somewhere and figure things out. Like, what was the other example? We said something in Cafe Memoria, which, yeah, they did something ridiculous and then they lampshaded it. Like, try to avoid that. That's rather ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, there's writing sins and you should probably avoid them, but I'm probably not the best person to talk about them because I'm not like a professional writer. Yeah, writing sins, like repeating yourself over and over again is kind of dumb. Just make it seem natural as well. But I mean, I consider myself a critic, unlike you, Patrick. You don't consider yourself a critic. I just have to point that out because he doesn't.
And I consider myself a critic, but I definitely don't know enough about... Like, basically, there are so many better people you can be asking or even just Googling.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, next question. That was from Lishi93, by the way. This question is from Chris I Love Games. This question is for Chris. I'm sorry about this, Patrick.
Oh, thanks.
Alright, so I know you played it a while ago, and I don't know if you remember it, but what are your final thoughts on Nicole's after you played other VAs? VAs. Is she asking me about the voice acting in it?
Maybe it's just meant VNs.
Yeah, maybe. Final thoughts on Nicole. That's the Winter Wolves one. So, it definitely went on too long. It wasn't coded properly as well, because I got to the ending without having completed all the scenes that I needed to get to the ending. So suddenly we randomly find ourselves at a building, and I didn't even know how I got there because the scenes hadn't got there yet. Like, we hadn't got to the point to where that had happened. But I think it was alright. The characters were fleshed out, so they started as stereotypes, you know, Kurt the outgoing jock, and so on. And, you know, Darren, the nerd, who is really shy, but then the sort of, like, characters are fleshed out a bit. I think it took a bad rap, Nicole, which is odd, yeah, because I didn't mind it. I just think it was a bit too long, and I'm not too big on stat raisers at all, so you cut that out and it would probably be so much shorter. But that, basically. And if you meant VAs as in voice acting, then I never listened to voice acting. Terrible. So, thank you for your question. Oh yeah, she did mean VNs. That is what it says there afterwards. From Lishi93 again. Also, Chris. Sorry, Patrick.
Screw you guys.
Is it okay to have a Japanese character if they are specific to troll weeaboos and do not act Japanese whatsoever? I'd say you should probably never have a character in a game which is specifically to troll something. Or
yeah,
specifically to annoy something. I think all characters should be enjoyable, even if they are just sort of like angry. And so on. Like, The Young Ones did it. The Young Ones is a BBC series in the 80s. And they said it was never going to work just because there was no likeable character in them at all. They were all just completely unlikable. But it worked because they were interesting and they were funny. So, yeah, it's just as long as they're interesting, it doesn't matter. Komisuku, which is Chief, asks, what visual novels are you looking forward to? I'll let you answer this one, considering how many of these in a row I've answered.
Oh, you want me to take this one?
We can both take this one, but you can answer it first in case people are getting sick of hearing my voice.
Like, I don't even know anything. Anything by Loopysoft.
Anything by Loopysoft. That is a fucking troll answer. What events am I looking forward to? Alright, well obviously this is Chief, so I'm really looking forward to Reborn, Fates, Rising Angels. No, Rising Angel Fates, obviously, An Order of Ataxia. Brilliant games, definitely not made by Chief, and definitely not what I'm saying.
A pattern here.
What? No, there's nothing I'm really looking forward to. Magical Diary Wolf Hall, whenever Hanako Games gets round to releasing that, like in 300 years.
The Half-Life 3 of visual novels, yes.
The Half-Life 3 of visual novels! That's actually what it is. That is actually what it is, isn't it? It's the Half-Life 3 of visual novels. Yeah, that's right. Your check is in the mail. Cheers, Chief. What else is there that I'm looking forward to? Backstage Pass, whenever that comes out. Thing is, Sake Visual are just painfully slow, but at least they get it out eventually. Other than that, not really much else. So, yeah, probably those. There may have been something I've forgotten. Oh, the pizza game with John Doran in it. He helped do it. The pizza game, whatever that was called. That looks quite good. So thank you for your question, Chief. Next question. Chris, how is your visual novel going? Have you even started writing it? Yes! I have a draft done about it. But then I didn't like it, so I deleted a lot of it. And now I just need to rewrite it. Spoilers here. I sort of write several things depending on what I'm in the mood in, but it's about superheroes with vaguely useless powers. And sort of how they get on. Basically. That's what it is. Thank you for your question. Chief again, what is this about a possible live stream charity event you mentioned on Twitter? Yeah, well, I was thinking it might be for charity, it might not. Patrick and I need to sort of iron the details out of it.
Yeah, it's something we just kind of were bullshitting about, like, off the cuff one day. Like, on Skype, I think, because we were joking about playing a certain game, which, we both hate, and doing a 24-hour marathon charity for it. And then we're like, oh, well, we could actually do it with something that's decent. And then we're like, oh, we'll throw out a post on Twitter and see what we can get from there. And, eventually what we agreed to was just doing this instead, and then trying to gauge how much of an audience we can actually muster up for something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. And obviously when it's a 12-hour stream, we kind of sort of sit around and dick around more. So if you were here at the beginning of the show, when it was just us two talking and we were dicking around, it would probably be a lot of that in between games as well. So we can just sort of like sit and relax for a little bit. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Obviously we'll have special guests. Chief is being forced along to that, as is JP. Patrick, your Bay will probably show up at some point, I imagine.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so... yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. We'll try and get several people along. But yeah, we just sort of trying to drum up interest, see how this podcast goes. Oh, I have a question about Patrick. How can you even stand being on a podcast with Chris? I pity you, poor you.
With heavy medication, yeah, that's pretty much the only way.
Oh, you told me it was just cocaine and heroin.
But no, really, it's probably mostly for the fact that I get to see exactly the kind of reaction I'll get from 4chan later when they start raging about some of the stuff he said, because that's always good for lols.
Yeah. Hooray. Lucius again. Chris and Patrick, do you ever read 4chan's EVN? Have you heard the drama with a certain dev regarding hentai in the EVN community? Care to comment? We do read 4chan's EVN.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a laugh, honestly. 1 in every 10 posts there even makes sense, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Someone has told me that someone really important posts there, judging by their writing, but I really don't believe it. I think most people who post there are people who just haven't got anything done. As soon as you get any sort of success or money behind you or get a game on Steam, you're probably not going to bother with places like 4chan. So... have you heard about the drama with a certain dev regarding hentai in the EVN community? Do you know what that is about at all?
Is it the one that we were just talking about earlier? Because that's the only one I can think of.
Oh, what, is it Tyson?
I don't know. That's the only drama that I've known of recently, but I didn't see any in 4chan about it, other than they were talking about him.
Yeah, they were just swearing blindly. They called him a retarded cunt at some point. I was like, whoa! Pushing it slightly. So, we might have heard about the drama. We're unsure. Chris, I Love Games says, I didn't mean any offense to you, Patrick. I just didn't know if you played. Nicole.
That's alright. I'm just joking around. I'm not upset.
He has a very dry sense of humour, where I'm more vocal and more emotive about things. Patrick is even worse than I am. It just doesn't come across that way. That's right. Patrick, do you play Japanese visual novels? What's your favourite?
No, I have not. I always get people recommending me Japanese visual novels, but I have never actually played one myself. So no. Yeah,
and I'm going to answer that as well. I've downloaded Steins Gate, but I've never actually got around to playing it. So that is that. Patrick, is it true that Chris is really a red Teletubby with shaders IRL?
Yes, and I've seen the picture to prove it.
Yeah, you've it's actually seen me in a post. For those that don't actually know what I look like, hang on. Here is a photo of me I posted on Twitter yesterday. I have since cut my hair and shaved my beard, but other than that, there you are. That's in chat for you. See, people, if you want to know the lovely things we're talking about now and you listen to this on YouTube, well, you can show up live. So that's what I look like in person. Patrick, you pretty much look like what you do in the video.
Yeah. And I have vlogs up on YouTube if you really want to see what I look like. But yeah, you can kind of get a good guess from the picture.
Yeah, exactly. Is Backstage Pass already out? No, it's in early access, and they haven't they're really slow at updating. They spend a lot of time just doing other things. So yeah, unless there are more questions, and we'll give it a minute or so for more to maybe trickle in. Unless there are more questions, I think we should call it a day for now.
Sounds good.
I'd say this live podcast has definitely been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has.
Because I'm constantly reading chat, it keeps my mind off the unbearable heat of like 35 degrees Celsius outside, even though it's fucking 20 past 10. So I haven't been sweating as much as normal. That's like the last question, does this look infected? Your mum looks infected. That is my sick burn.
And that's the ending of the podcast.
Yeah.
Your mom's infected. Drops mic.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, more questions coming in. What is your favourite Chinese food? Do you have an answer for that?
Chicken and broccoli.
Oh, God, you'd willingly pay for broccoli, you weirdo. Oh. I like crispy duck or chicken in any kind, whatever they specialise in. I normally just ask the person I'm calling up to. That's not entirely visual novel related though. This is the first live podcast. How often do you guys do these? First one we've done.
Yeah, first live podcast. We usually try to do the podcasts every other week, so we'll see if that holds out.
Yeah, exactly. We'll probably do it next one. This one appears to be a success. Last question is: are you going to continue with the live podcast, and when will it be? Same time in 2 weeks, probably. So yeah, that is it. We shall end the podcast now.
Sounds good.
So yeah, my name has been Tenarium, and I've also had a co-host on.
Yes, and my name is Tryinmorning.
And you can find his YouTube channel over at youtube.com/Tryinmorning. He makes some rather amusing videos. I actually sat down and watched pretty much the entirety of his Fading Hearts playthrough. Just because it was very amusing watching someone get confused over it and really try and rack his brain for answers, because he's playing with his girlfriend as well, where I just got angry and swore a bit.
It's always fun watching people suffer, come on.
Yeah, exactly. But we shall leave for now. Until next time, thank you all very much for listening on the YouTubes. If you've got this far, we very much appreciate it. Thank you everyone for showed up live. Very, very kind of you. Some of you even made it the whole, hour and a bit. Well done you. My name is Tenarium. This has been Tryinmorning. This has been Tenarium and Tryinmorning Talk Visual Novels, Episode 8. Goodbye.
Take care, everyone.